Hey gang, welcome to this video. David here. I'm going to challenge your thinking, challenge your mind, I hope, and expand your awareness in this video. And it's called Why People Stay Stuck in 3D Reality Until They Understand This Shift. And it's a big one. So welcome to this three-part series. We're moving into an expanded view of reality, consciousness, and identity. And the truth is, as we all know, all the teachings so far have been very limited about the nature of reality, spiritual science. It's like one world, one God, one planet, one lifetime. But reality isn't that small. And that's the experience I want to try and get across today. Reality is a multi-dimensional experience created by us, for us. And that's what this series is going to explore. We're going to have a look at what physical 3D reality is, how you can use that knowledge to create the reality that you want, and then how to experience your own multidimensional nature. So it's pretty exciting stuff. So for centuries, science and spirituality has been working with a very limited map of reality, and it develops over time. Science has told us that the only things that can be measured and tested are real. They're now realizing that's not true. Spiritual teachings often describe this place as a physical layer that we have to escape from or transcend. And there's a lot of New Age teachings around that. And the fact is they're not kind of wrong because their maps are only as good as their understanding of what's available at the time. But every map has to change, and eventually it becomes too small for the territory it's meant to describe. And so what this video series and all the teachings I do about updating the map for you. And so here is the truth. Physical reality, 3D reality, it's not a place. It's not a prison. It's actually a state of consciousness, like a dream. It's a dream we call Earth. And it is real. It's really valid. You know, I can feel that. I'm not going to try and stop breathing or jump in front of a bus, but it's still not a physical place. And it was a shock to realize for me and to other people, of course, that you're not actually floating on a planet in space right now. It's an illusion. You are actually in your own mind. It's a real, but again, it doesn't mean that reality isn't real. What it means is that it's not a physical environment. We have all these things, but it's not a physical environment. Until you can experience that, then you'll stay trapped in the appearances, kind of reacting, but you'll never actually touch the deeper layers of creation. And what makes this even harder to grasp is how deeply we're conditioned by science, spirituality, society, that we only think of physical reality as the ultimate reality, okay? And it's the best way that consciousness could ever experience itself. And we assume this is our baseline. But the more you explore, the more you go beyond physical reality, you'll realize it isn't. There are limitless states of realities where consciousness plays by completely different rules, and you can go and experience some of them. There are some where events don't line up neatly, one after the other, so time is experienced in different ways. There are some where consciousness never becomes physical at all. This is not the only game in town, as it were. And there are realities and consciousness that have no idea that physical reality exists at all. Why would they? Just like we don't have an experience of other realities. And that's a bit of a shocker, really, because we assume that this is the way consciousness expresses itself. But we realize that the physical world that we take so seriously, you know, and people are very challenged over it, it's just one of a limitless number. And this isn't the only reality available to all souls. It's just one option among an infinite number that consciousness expresses itself as. And as we, multidimensional creatures, exist in other layers of reality, we also exist here. And if you can follow the science, the latest science, you'll see that science is beginning to understand that. Physics tell us that matter isn't solid. It's not a solid environment. Just like it appears in a dream, it's solid, but it's not. Observation changes the experiment, i.e. whatever we look at changes. Physical reality is actually camouflage, and it camouflages something much more complex, much less limited than our senses would suggest. And spirituality is also going to catch up. It's exactly what is happening right now. But both still remain trapped in the idea that the 3D reality is the baseline. And the body of work called the Seth material, which is an amazing source of insight, called this framework 1 and other reality framework 2. And a framework 1 is kind of the sensory projection that you experience. Framework 2 is the broader multidimensional reality, but all are equal and they sit alongside themselves. And when you confuse the projection, i.e. this place, framework 1, then you're, for the source of it all, then you're stuck in it. And when you think framework 1 is the physical framework, framework 2 is the spiritual framework, again, you're stuck in it. You will never break out of the experience. You'll just continue to go round and round trying to understand yourself. But deeper consciousness, you need to realize that framework 1 is a state of consciousness 2. It's one tiny but essential part of other states of consciousness, framework 2. And that when you understand that and you are able to remove the limitations, you get to experience your multidimensional nature. Everything becomes open. And when you realize that this place is like a dream, it's real and it's essential. Okay, you do have to breathe and all that kind of stuff, but you're going to wake up. You can stop reacting to it and you can start shaping it as the origin. And that's the shift. You're not in a physical environment at all. And this is something that's transformed my life, obviously. My first experience of this was when I was 3 years old, which was mind-blowing. And it's just continued throughout my life. And if we have a look at the reason why manifesting works, well, it's because it's a state of consciousness and not a physical environment. If it were a physical environment, manifesting couldn't work. The reason psychic awareness, and we can talk to each other psychically, is real, is because we're in our own minds, quite literally. Everything is made from thought. It's not a physical environment. Otherwise, it couldn't work. The reason that you are immortal, you can experience that anytime you like, is because you don't actually come from this environment. You're creating it out of a broader state of consciousness. And at some point when you choose, you will wake up and you will realize that you're in part of your deeper mind. And of course, I could go on with lots of different analogies. So in my 20s, when I was teaching healing and Reiki in my healing center, I really struggled because I was learning to think about that this was kind of everything, okay, that this was the cause of everything, because I was still treating physical reality as a place. And the leap came when I began to really take on board quite consciously that this is just one band, a frequency of consciousness that exists alongside limitless others. And that realization doesn't make this less important, it made it more usable. Okay, suddenly things began to shift because I realized I wasn't at the pinnacle, if you like, or the baseline of reality at all, and I began programming it. It's quite a challenging area to think about. Here's how you can start to do this if you want to. The next time you hit any kind of resistance, financial stress or relationships or fear or doubt, remind yourself that this is a dream, a state of consciousness. It gives us feedback, but it's not the ultimate truth. Okay, there are other realities alongside it, and you can draw on those. Ask yourself, what belief is this reflecting back to me? Because you're in your mind, remember, right now. And when you do that, it allows you to extend your experience outside of physical reality, makes this easier to work in. And I'm not dismissing spiritual teachers or science or whatever it is, but again, placing them into context for all of us. Everything has given us a map, like chakras and all that kind of stuff. And they were useful at the time, but limited, and we need to let them go. Reality is by nature a much larger map. And what we've inherited is something that we're now moving through. If you stop acting as if this is the limit of reality and that you have access to all of it, then you can really begin to get hold of it. And in the next video, that's what we're going to look at. How you can understand this, become more conscious. Most people get conscious creation wrong because they think they're in a physical environment. And that's what we're going to do in the second one. In the third, we're going to look at accessing your multidimensional self directly, and you can experience more of who you are. It's a challenge, I know, but if you want to go deeper, if you want to talk about the extended map, you can join me in the Conscious Creation Academy for free of charge as of recording this video, and we're going to explore this more and more. The biggest shift is to recognize what 3D, what physical reality is. It's a state of consciousness in amongst a limitless number of other states of consciousness, and your experience of those is not limited to this at all. You can go much broader, and when you do, it puts this reality in context, personally, psychically, emotionally, relationally, and then you can really begin to experience yourself in a much deeper way than you've ever done before. So if you want to step outside of physical reality, strangely enough, you have to understand what physical reality is, and you kind of go through it. And that is the big shift I want to help you experience. That's it, guys. Links in the description. If you found this interesting, please do subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. And I will see you in the next video, which I will, as soon as they're done, I will add into the description. Take care.